It's all we got left up here at the Dutton Ranch. All these wild rascals. What's going on, friends? Logan Myerz back here for Cinephellas.com. Tonight I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite shows, new favorite shows, I guess, for the past few seasons, my man soap opera. It's the third season that premiered this summer. It was the most watched television show on cable, not streaming services. You know, people have cable still. You know what that is? No. Okay, I'm not going to get into that. But season 3 of my favorite man soap opera, Yellowstone. So Yellowstone, we're going into the third season. A lot of great things have happened in the first two. Essentially, the setup is the Dutton family, headed by John Dutton, played by Kevin Costner, that needs no introduction. His family has a daughter, a few sons. They have the Dutton Ranch up in Yellowstone, Montana. Been in the family for many years, and they're trying to fight to survive. They're trying to keep their land from Native Americans, developers, suits, which are, you know, the corporate people that come in and try to buy everything. So it sets up a lot of conflict with a lot of characters in the show, and the Dutton family trying to stand on their own and protect their land and their legacy. We're introduced to market equities, I guess, hedge fund manager Rourke, played by Josh Holloway. Hey, Freckles. And I was saying in my review of the first few episodes of season 3, and I'm a huge fan of his. I love the show Lost. He was in another sci-fi show, but good actor. And the setup of his character early on in the season, didn't really know what was going to happen to him, and he definitely felt like he was going to be a big bad guy, a really bad enemy. And really, that's not the case. He didn't really show up and do much until the end. In market equity, they're essentially trying to buy John Dutton's land for like $500 million, something outrageous, something crazy. And the way they're going about it is like, you either take our money or we're going to take the land away from you. Either way, we get the land. They're going to use eminent domain, or they're going to buy him out. And obviously John Dutton's not too fond of that, too happy about that. This is his land where he's lived his whole life, where he's raised his children, where he's made a living and made a lot of enemies along the way. So he's been there forever, and he will fight for his land. He's not just going to sell it and move on or give it up to these assholes, these suits. So it sets up a lot of great aspects in the season 3, a lot of enemies introduced. And we have Gil Birmingham returning as Thomas Stillwater, the reservation, and he's really great in all the seasons. He's really great this season too, introducing this younger lawyer and them trying to work with John Dutton to preserve the land, save the land, and keep it out of the corporate hands. And market equities really wants to buy up the land so they can build an airport, how they can build a ski resort, and, you know, bring in a lot of foot traffic, a lot of people coming in to vacation up in Yellowstone. It's going to create a lot of jobs for the locals there. They can work at the resort, work at the airport, but it's basically going to kill the land. A lot of the animals, the wildlife, you know, it's going to mess up the water system and the lakes and the rivers up there. It's not good for nature, but it's good for people that are trying to make money. In this season, we get to see a really great arc for Casey Dutton. He is the son of John Dutton. He's kind of the cowboy, the badass, likes to fight. Get into trouble. Casey grows into the role of the livestock commissioner, taking over the position for his father. This is his destiny. He's going to take over for the family business, for the Dutton Ranch. John Dutton's going to retire being an old man and just kind of sit back and watch his kids take over the business. And that's really what happens with Casey's character. And he's probably one of the best characters in the show. You see his character grow throughout each season. He's a married man. He has a young son named Tate, and him and his wife, which is Native American, they come across a lot of issues throughout the seasons. And this is definitely one of the better seasons for these two characters, especially with him growing into the new role. Monica's really struggling with her husband being gone all the time, trying to make the money for the family, and she's up in the Dutton Ranch with young Tate. Tate's off with his grandpa, John Dutton. They're always going out in the woods, hanging out in Montana, camping, having a good old time. You see Kevin Costner really growing into the role as grandpa, really soft-spoken, really laid back when it comes to his grandson and teaching him life lessons and all these adventures they go on. And it leaves Casey's wife kind of fending for herself back at the Dutton Ranch, hanging out, coming across all the wild bunkhouse boys and all the shit they get into this season. Other characters I really love is old Rip Wheeler returning, Cole Hauser, and then you have Miss Kelly Riley returning as Beth. And this season, after what they went through last season with Beth and Rip saving her, they really have a really strong relationship where, you know, Rip is watching out for the bunkhouse boys, taking care of the ranch, and Where Beth is very corporate and business and taking care of her dad's business and dealing with all the assholes at Market Equities, and especially Rourke. They run in and butt heads a lot in this season with Josh Holloway's character. But I love, Rip and Beth's relationship. They're really great together. It only grows throughout the season when it has to do with marriage and what it means for their future. One thing they finally tackled this season I was super excited about was Jamie and Beth's relationship, why it's so toxic, what is going on, what is the beef between these two, and it really has to go back to Beth being a young teenager and Jamie making this decision for her without her really knowing, which essentially leads to her not having kids, and she's, with Rip and talking about having kids, but she can't do that because it's something that happened to her when she was younger. And that's the whole deal with her and Jamie and how they hate each other, and Beth thinks he's a piece of shit. One aspect of Jamie's character that we get to dive into this season is his backstory, where he came from. It has to do with his family in Montana, and the character played by Will Patton that shows up towards the end of the season, having to do with Jamie and father and son relationship. It's really great. I love Will Patton. But my favorite characters in the show definitely being the Bunkhouse Boys, Jimmy, Corey, and all them. They're really great. They have girlfriends this season, which is a little weird. Come along for the ride, and some of the girls, the actresses that show up, the girlfriends of the Bunkhouse Boys, are kind of forgettable and kind of silly. And hopefully they don't do too much with those characters in the next season. But something really crazy happens towards the end of the season with one of the Bunkhouse Boys and a character they introduced this season, Teeter's her name. Really hard to understand. But they're out in the woods and they get attacked essentially. And it has to do with Market Equities, hitman that is assigned to the job to really take out these two characters. It really pisses off all the Bunkhouse Boys, and of course they snap out and go after this guy. And really sets up an awesome ending of the episode 9 of what happens to this character. But leading up until the end, really fantastic, something I didn't see coming, very surprising, with all these different characters having to do with Market Equities, trying to buy up all the land, John Dutton's ranch, trying to pay the money or use eminent domain and basically take the land away from them, and then setting up Jamie's character as Attorney General. You have Casey being the livestock commissioner, Beth doing her thing, trying to clean things up and keep the business afloat and keep the land, but it's not looking too good. There's a lot of players. Market Equities character played by Josh Holloway, and then you have the CEO they introduced this season of the company. She's a real bitch and really a great villain, and I can't wait to see what happens to her. And then you also have the Engel, the Native Americans, being Thomas Stillwater, and the lawyer, the lady that he hires, that they're trying to work on this lawsuit so Market Equities can't take the land away, having to do with the lakes and waters and things like that, and not building by those. And one thing I was thinking about last season, they had the militia, and you don't really see them in season 3, and I have my predictions as to what's going to happen in the upcoming seasons with all these different variables and different characters, and all having the same goal, which is being John Dutton's land and taking that. I really have a lot of questions, but hopefully they answer a lot of those. But I think that the militia will show up. I think the militia did show up at the very end of the season, having to do with John Dutton, and then also what happens to Casey and Beth and Rip. Overall, I had a really great time with season 3 of Yellowstone. It definitely is one of my favorite shows. It was the most watched TV show this summer on cable. Each season gets better and better, and Taylor Sheridan's really laying the groundwork and really trying to set it up for the bigger picture here, what's going to happen, and really see the ultimate fall, I think, of John Dutton, Kevin Costner's character. I don't think he's going to live probably past another season. I don't really see this lasting more than 5 seasons. So I think we'll probably see the last 1 or 2 more seasons of Yellowstone, and hopefully they'll iron out everything and all these characters, all these bad guys that show up along the way. It really pisses off the Dutton family. They'll do whatever it takes to save their land and save their heritage and legacy. Really great performances across the board, all the main cast, the new supporting cast, like Josh Holloway for the most part. Also introducing other new characters in this season. Really love the cinematography, the music, seeing some old characters that return. I think Taylor Sheridan's really great at crafting a great story, especially having to do with like the Wild West and having to do with these cowboys. I think he really paints a beautiful picture in terms of scenery, and then also with the fucked up families and characters that show up along the way. So overall, I had a really great time with season 3 of Yellowstone. It's probably one of my favorite seasons to date, really leaving us on a crazy cliffhanger, making me want more, and I wish season 4 was ready to watch, because I can't wait. If you guys haven't checked it out, it's on the Paramount Network, all 3 seasons, and I highly recommend it. So I'm gonna give season 3 of Yellowstone a 4 out of 5 Josh Holloway hair pieces. So what did you guys think of season 3? What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? What did you guys think of that crazy ending? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to hit subscribe. This is Logan Myerz signing out from Dutton Ranch up here. Hopefully those wild cowboys don't find me. Ding! Until the next TV review. Cheers!